why the beep is Monsanto in charge of the what was the thing he brought on the Monsanto guy, the GMO creator? Why is the GMO creating guy in charge of our USDA now? Oh my God. They just put the fox in the hen house. Everybody that doesn't want to see or hear all this stuff, that's what makes it like the Twilight Zone. Like, if people took the time to do the research that we did, they would be in our shoes where they believe like we do. How could you not? There's too many. You can trace back all the stuff to being true. Like, it's not hard to like, it's just that people don't want to do the research. They just want to, oh, give me my $600 check and, you know, make me happy. And then I won't say anything bad about anything. And, you know, oh, I can go spend money, you know, yay. Oh yeah, we're just going to do this and not look at any. Most people don't have to. But then I heard my friend Ben and I, the one I mentioned earlier, we were talking about, we think that maybe it's just a certain breed of person that challenges stuff. Like, I'm a direct descendant from James Wilson. He's one of the people that signed the Declaration of Independence. So like,
that's interesting.
I mean, yeah. So I've
wondered the same thing though, too, because you see so many people that don't seem to give a shit. You know, it's just like, they just go along with whatever.
They
like,
don't want to.
Yeah, what are you going to do? It's like, how can you live your life like that? Like, I'm too open-minded and I care too much about our country and other people and where things are going to just shut my mouth and not care.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of people are too afraid. I got no fear where that goes. I have no fear at all. I will stand up every day, all day long. I don't have any fear. Now, I don't want to get friends, loved ones in trouble, and I don't want to get myself censored. I'm being very quiet and calculated right now. You know, I've got stuff planned. I'm not disclosing, but I'm not saying I'm a sleeping giant. I'm not like a giant, but I have planned. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. Yeah, I've been studying this whole thing for a while. And I just really wish that, I hate to say more people wake up and stuff like that, but it really is like a wake up. Like, people have to, I don't get why people don't want to look into things. Like, it's the future of our kids. It's the future of the freedom in the country. Like, I would love to just turn a blind eye and be like, oh yeah, gee, I hope things get better. Instead of that feeling, I feel like, what can I do? What can we do? Can I help other people see what's going on without them biting my head off, calling me a conspiracy theorist? That's just like that's just a, what do they call it? A spin word that people like to use. That's not the right word. That's just like something that they like to say to quickly shut somebody up, to just completely take the power out of their argument. And so they don't have to listen. It really is. And
yeah, I got called a Trump supporter today.
Oh yeah.
that was interesting. And it's from a friend, so she might see this on YouTube, and I'm not bashing her, but the thing is, I made a post about, I was congratulating one of the congresswoman that is vowing to legally conceal and carry to work for her protection.
I'm Lauren Boebert, and I approve this message.
Cut. That's a wrap.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm a newly elected congresswoman from Colorado. Even though I now work in one of the most liberal cities in America, I refuse to give up my rights, especially my Second Amendment rights. I will carry my firearm in D.C. and in Congress. This caused outrage from Democrats and the media. Why? It's our job in Congress to defend your rights, including your Second Amendment, and that's exactly what I'm here to do. In D.C., of all places, we should be encouraged to practice our rights. So forget what you hear in the fake news. Here are the real reasons why I choose to defend myself in our nation's capital. I'm a woman and a mother of 4. I choose to defend my family with all of the force the Constitution provides. DC is one of the top 10 most dangerous cities in our country. Homicide rates and violent crimes are skyrocketing here. Being a member of Congress is pretty basic. I don't go to work in a motorcade or armored car. I don't get police escorts everywhere I go. I walk to my office every morning by myself. So as a 5-foot-tall, 100-pound woman, I choose to protect myself legally because I am my best security. One of the challenges of working in DC is people here don't understand how we live in real America. The Second Amendment is part of our lives. Gun ownership is cherished, and it makes our little town safer. As a young woman working late nights at a restaurant, I learned real fast how important it is to defend myself. After a violent incident outside my business, I took advantage of Colorado's open carry laws and began to carry at work. My waitresses asked if they could open carry too. And now Shooter's Grill has mandatory firearm training and target practice available for my staff, most of whom are young women. Educated, law-abiding gun owners are the safest people in America to be around. So when anyone comes in to limit the rights and safety of my family, I'll tell them exactly what this mom thinks. I am here to say, hell no, you're not. I have 4 children. I'm 5'0", 100 pounds. Cannot really defend myself with a fist. So all you're going to do is restrict law-abiding citizens like myself. So this is why I choose to defend myself and my family. Not only is it my right, but it's a right I was sent here to protect from Rifle, Colorado. So if you see me in DC, say hi. You're safe with me.
And she stood up for an investigation into the votes to let's at least look into this and make sure there's nothing fishy going on.
Yeah.
And I made the point that I congratulate her for standing up and saying that. And I get blasted. Oh, so what? Have you turned to Trump now? I'm like, where did that come from? I didn't even mention Trump. And I made my point. We went on for a little while. But my point was, it's like 40% of the nation, I've heard, it's the last stat that I've heard, questions the validity of this election. And the problem is, the claim is, okay, the courts have looked into this, and this is how I felt for a while, is that they've looked into this. There's no evidence of voter fraud. Okay, fine. But when I listened to the phone recordings of like the president on the phone with the officials in Georgia, he was asking them questions about the investigation when they were looking into, is there voter fraud? They kept coming back with, well, I don't know. We haven't looked into that. I don't know. We haven't looked into that. And I'm like, if you haven't looked into all of these areas, like, how do we know if there is or isn't evidence for fraud if we're not even allowed to look into it in the first place? And I think that's the problem. So my point was simply that I think it would behoove our lawmakers, when they see the country in great tension, as it's been this last year, and you have 134,000, I think that comes up to 134 million Americans that are pissed off right now and questioning this.
Yeah.
It's in your best interest to at least say, hey, let's open the ballots, let's have a proper count, and let's verify this for the people, because we work.
Yeah, but we have to trust the integrity of the voting system. Otherwise, and that's all people want, is just to make sure that like it's actually performing the function that it's supposed to. And then when they're like, oh, Americans have spoken and Biden's the new just he's for all the Americans want him. It's like, no, dude, like half the people want Trump. So your head is in the sand. It really is. Like, again, I'm not, like, but and in the media, they're just like, they don't post a lot of Trump stuff because they want to make fun of him and make him seem as ridiculous as possible. So a lot of the people that are on the left, they've just been like, but they just want Trump out. And the media completely twists things around. And I mean, it's so...
well, look at people. People like to label. Yeah. And the moment that I say, hey, this would be a smart decision to do to make sure that everybody's happy on both sides, because we already don't trust Congress, right? By far, there's a distrust of our lawmakers. So why not just say, hey, let's be transparent. We'll look into this for you guys, and we'll make sure that there is or isn't fraud. Yeah. And set the record straight. It makes sense to me. But the moment somebody stands up and says that, you're a Trump supporter. oh, you're one of those people that want to cause violence now. What are you going to
That's
raid
the
the
whole thing.
Capitol?
Like,
And then you
like,
get blasted.
right.
It's like,
Why do they have to go all the way to that extreme? And then
yeah,
if they delete the stuff that Trump actually did say, and then they're spin doctoring it up like, oh, this is what was said, and people can't verify that that wasn't what was said. Of course, they're gonna like be able to run with whatever narrative that they can, and then of course it corroborates and makes it worse the fact that people act that way. Like when they
Yeah.
jump to conclusions like Trump people are all violent. No, I watched these Trump rallies down in Southern California before I wasn't there. I watched them on YouTube live, and these people were Trump supporters, and they were really calm. They were just like there with their flags and whatever, and taking up a couple of blocks.
Mhm.
And these two young men came over, probably college age guys, and they were just coming over because they voted for Biden, but the people on the Trump side said, hey, let's talk. And I'm like, oh my God, an actual dialogue. And it turns out
Mhm.
that the Biden supporter guys had no idea that the stuff that the Trump supporter people were just trying to just preserve our Constitution and keeping the republic, because we're going to lose our freedoms because they're already getting lost with the left-hand side policies. And the two guys said that the only reason they voted for Biden was because then they're getting their student loan debt recovered or whatever. Like, and that was the only reason they voted for Biden. It's like, well, there's so much at stake. I'm not saying I'm pro-Trump. I'm saying that whole entire side is so strong for the reason that it's a fight for our freedom right now. And I hate saying that. It sounds like I'm being a mouthpiece, but it's really true. And anybody that wants to contest that, I'll be able to provide whatever links you want to the stuff that I can show you on how and why I came to that decisions. But it is absolutely, when you consider Biden in bed with China, I know I said it earlier, I'm saying it again. It's ridiculous that he's in power now. And why the beep is Monsanto in charge of the, what was the thing he brought on, the Monsanto guy, the GMO creator? Let me look up what his position is, because Biden just made him a position. Monsanto. Okay. Biden picks Tom Vilsack, who is Mr. Monsanto, to head the USDA. So how is that a good move?
Really?
Yeah. I saw that on the news a couple days ago. I'm like, why is the GMO creating guy in charge of our USDA now? We're like, oh my God. They just put the fox in the hen house.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
I had not heard that.
Yeah. And that's why, again, I'm like, I'm not surprised. Another bumbled move. Like, the thing is, the whole picture is going to come in. It's going to be clear. It's just going to be too late for anybody to do anything, because it's going to get ugly. We're going to get the passports that anybody who hasn't been vaccinated, I can't
Won't be able to travel. Yeah, I was concerned about that as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you can't really force, if you try to force people to take the vaccination, then most people, okay, I won't say most people, a good chunk of the nation is going to refuse. It's just not going to happen. But if you bribe them, if you make it just like a debit card, everything's debit card now. If you make it impossible to function without it,
well, people are going to acquiesce. I think the turning point, because at first I thought the turning point is going to be the vaccine. I think people are going to end up mostly caving, unless if a bunch of people start dying from it, which they're trying to cover up the deaths already. And but I think the trigger point, well, they're already giving people enough food, so that's okay. If the food runs out, they're going to have a panic situation. But then, sorry, I'm getting back to my original point. The turning point, I feel, is going to be when if they try to do a cashless society and they end up like freezing someone's money, or they end up losing someone's money, or they turn it off. I think that's going to be the point where people say, okay, this is enough. This is enough. And have you seen the show called 60 Days In? It's a bunch of
Mm-mm.
Like it's people, they pretend like they're inmates and they actually go to jail and they go
Oh, I've
undercover.
heard of that. Yeah, I haven't actually seen it. I saw like the advertisement
Oh, it's
for it.
such a good
and
show.
It looks so good.
But the reason I'm mentioning that is because if you look at inmates and people in prison and jail, like they make up their own kind of currency. They have their own system of, well, this is going to pay for this. I'm not talking about like sex stuff either. I'm talking about like, you know, there's people that open little stores there with items that they get from the commissary and then they trade and then they, they'll trade
barter and
they'll trade a cigarette for a sweet roll or something.
mm-hmm.
There's just going to be, all it's going to do if they do the cashless society is it's going to make, people think of different ways around that, but then people are going to get in trouble because it's not taxable. And then you have a way to penalize people more. It's going to open a whole new reason for people to get in trouble. And it's just like, can we have enough of this already? Can these fuckers at the top just grow the fuck up and leave us alone?